Hi, welcome to Suffrage School. My name is Wendy Rouse, and I'm an associate professor in history at San Jose State University. One of the most interesting items that I've come across in my research is actually from the Margaret Foley collection. So Margaret Foley was born into a working-class Irish-American family near Boston. She worked at a hat factory and became a labor organizer for the Boston Women's Trade Union League. From 1906 to 1915, the Massachusetts Women's Suffrage Association hired her to work as an organizer. So she traveled throughout the country, delivering suffrage speeches and recruiting new suffragists. Now there's a series of letters in the Foley collection that document a 1916 lecture tour she took throughout the South. Fellow suffragist Helen Elizabeth Goodnow volunteered to serve as her secretary, and she documented the journey through a series of letters to her grandmother. Goodnow described their adventures in detail. They traveled to Baltimore, to Richmond, Memphis, Pensacola, Mobile, New Orleans, Chattanooga, and at the end of the Southern trip, they actually ended up in Minneapolis for the Mississippi Valley Suffrage Conference. Now, Goodnow was having the time of her life, and she was enamored with Foley. She wrote in a letter to her grandmother, "I really think Foley likes me better than most any of her other friends. Funny, isn't it?" Toward the end of the tour, they had a cancellation, and they had an opportunity to spend about a week together relaxing at the mineral springs in Mount Clemens, Michigan. And Goodnow gushed over their, quote, perfectly glorious week alone together. She told her grandmother, "I wish I could possibly tell you what a wonderful trip this is and how happy I have been. Think of the hundreds of people who would give anything to be with her for a week. We read together, we walked together, we got up, we went to bed when we felt like it, and she really loves me. Think of Margaret Foley liking little me." Goodnow ended the letter reminding her family, "Again, I repeat to you, I can't tell you how happy I am with Margaret." This letter raises interesting questions about women's relationships during this era. In what ways did suffrage campaign draw women together? What was the nature of their relationships? How did suffragists redefine concepts of gender and sexuality? How did suffragists queer domesticity? Despite multiple suitors, neither woman ever married. Goodnow's letters to her mother suggest an intense and romantic relationship between the two women. And after the tour, Goodnow moved in with Foley in Boston. Now, suffragists frequently formed these type of domestic arrangements. They referred to them as Boston marriages. These were cohabitating, committed relationships that were friendships, professional partnerships, creative collaborations, and often lesbian romances. Foley and Goodnow lived together until Foley's death in 1957. And before Foley passed away, she provided for Goodnow in her will by writing that Goodnow was entitled to any property of her choice. In the early 20th century, our modern terms, like LGBTQ+, did not exist. But today, a person looking back would be perhaps surprised to discover just how very queer the suffrage movement really was.